I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the latest in the crisis over Syria. While the U.S. debates military intervention, some San Diegans are demanding it.
I'm Peggy Pico. San Diego's suicide rate hit a record high last year. How local universities are helping with a new outreach prevention effort. And the Chargers revive a plan to attach a new stadium to the convention center expansion. Why now, and what they want voters to do about it.
From the dealer with a heart, Chelsea Cow.
And we'll remember the man who do just about anything to get you to buy a car. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. We began with the newest developments in the crisis over Syria. U.S. is taking a hard look at a proposal to put Syrian chemical weapons under international control. President Obama says it might be a breakthrough, and he says he might lose a congressional vote on the military intervention. We have more from Mark Smith with the Associated Press.
The arm twisting on Syria was relentless as President Obama's top aides pleaded with lawmakers to back military strikes targeting Syria's Bashar Assad, asserting this kind of dreadful poison gas attack must be answered.
What are we going to do about it? Turn our backs? Have a moment of silence?
Yet as the president prepared to make his case in a speech to the nation, the debate was upended by an offer from Syria's patron. Russia's foreign minister said to avoid U.S. strikes, Syria would turn its chemical stockpile over to international control. The White House promised to study this, but was hugely skeptical.
Unfortunately, the track record to date, including recent statements by Assad not even acknowledging that he has chemical weapons, doesn't give you a lot of confidence.
While the U.S. would love those stockpiles destroyed, it fears the regime's stalling.
This cannot be another excuse for delay or obstruction.
In Washington, Obama's national security chief argued Americans could be the next targets if that line's not enforced.
If we begin to erode the moral outrage of gassing children in their bed, we open ourselves up to even more fearsome consequences.
Yet despite this fierce lobbying, Capitol Hill's doubts seem to deepen.
This administration has done nothing to convince me and the American people that they have a focused, effective plan for military action in Syria, or really any true plan at all.
Yet the administration argues Russia's 11th hour gambit proves the threat of military force is the only language Assad understands. Mark Smith, The Associated Press, the White House.
Now, Syria's President Bashar al-Assad is warning of repercussions if the U.S. launches a military strike. In an exclusive interview with Charlie Rose, Assad denied using chemical weapons and says any red line against their use is just political.
Obama drew that line, and Obama can draw a line for himself and for his country, not for other countries. We have our red lines, like our sovereignty and our independence.
Now, you can see the entire interview tonight at 9 on KPBS TV. And a little later on Evening Edition, we'll talk with San Diegans who are closely watching the situation in Syria and worrying about family members there. There is a compromise proposal in California's court order to reduce its prison population. The state will ask for an extension on a federal deadline to get more time for rehab programs to work. If the judges say no, the state will spend millions for private prisons and county jail cells. The number of inmates is supposed to be reduced by 9,600 by the end of the year. Governor Brown's plan is an attempt to keep dangerous inmates behind bars, but lawmakers want to put the money into drug and mental health programs. San Diego's Audit Committee is continuing its investigation of credit card usage by former Mayor Bob Filner and his staff. It's focusing on his trip to Paris last June and on personal expenses. The committee is trying to determine whether Filner violated city rules and whether the rules on city purchasing cards are tight enough. Filner and his former chief of staff have reimbursed the city for personal charges totaling about $1,100. Well, tonight, San Diego's Republican Party meets to consider endorsing Kevin Faulconer for mayor. He is one of 29 candidates who have filed papers with the city clerk. That's right, I said 29. We've got a link to the updated candidate list on our website. That's kpbs.org/election. Time is already running short in the bid to replace Bob Filner. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says candidates have just over 2 months to convince voters to support them.
Sand began passing through the election hourglass when the City Council voted to hold the November 19th special election. Candidates have about 2 more weeks to file nomination papers, another month to file an election statement, and about another month after that to finish campaigning before the primary election is over. Former Mayor Jerry Sanders says that tight window creates challenges.
You know, it's a tremendously short period of time, and it's hard for candidates to raise a lot of money during that time to get their names out. It's also a very quick turnaround before the absentee ballots go out, and I think in the last election about 50% of the votes were cast by absentee ballots, so it's going to mean the candidates are really hustling right now.
Mesa College political science professor Carl Luna says the short election period gives an advantage to candidates with name recognition.
The absentee ballots just reinforces the notion that who you are when you start the campaign is what voters are largely going to base things on. You're not going to have a lot of time to educate the public. So the bigger issue in this campaign is going to be voter turnout. Which side can mobilize their resources to get their voters to the polls?
Luna says candidates will have to dispense with some of the more subtle image-building efforts.
Well, candidates often in elections try to introduce themselves to the public, get a narrative going. Candidates this time won't have that option. They're pretty much the person you vote for on election day is the person you first see the first day of the campaign.
If a candidate gets more than 50% of the vote, the winner takes office December 17th. If no candidate wins outright, a runoff will be held. The city charter says that'll happen within 49 days. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
San Diego Chargers are in the national spotlight tonight for Monday Night Football. The team introduced new plans for a combined stadium convention center complex. Peggy Pico explains why they want voters to decide if it should be built.
A similar plan to include a new stadium in the convention center expansion was rejected by city leaders 2 years ago. But the Chargers revived the plan last week, just before the convention center expansion plan is considered by the California Coastal Commission. Here with more on the competing proposal is Mark Fabiani, General Counsel for the San Diego Chargers. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Mark, tell us how this stadium proposal now is different from the one back in 2011.
Well, we've moved away from a football-only concept and instead are proposing to combine the convention center expansion and the stadium in one multi-use facility that would have a retractable fabric roof and that would be capable of hosting not just the medium-sized conventions we now get in San Diego, but the biggest events in the world, from the Super Bowl to the Final Four to the major conventions that we can't get now.
I want to point out the video that the viewers are seeing right now. This was the original plan from 2011, and it's changed now because you're going to connect it and also have the retractable
That's
cover.
correct. The idea is if we're going to build a facility, we need to build it for more than just NFL and college games. We need to build it so that we get the biggest events in the world, and this would give us a chance to do that.
Why are the Chargers proposing this kind of revised plan now?
Because of the Coastal Commission hearing. The Coastal Commission meets in October, and we were told by our Coastal Commission experts that unless we presented an alternative, the Commission wouldn't necessarily consider one on its own. We know the Commission has concerns over putting a big box on the waterfront in downtown San Diego, which is what the city is now proposing to do to expand the convention center. We thought they needed to see an alternative. I know other people are going to come in from the community with other alternatives. Ours is just one of them.
Yeah, and I want to get to that because at a recent press conference, interim San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria had this to say about the convention center expansion and the Charger Stadium putting that together. Let's listen.
It is a plan that is vital for us to retain and attract other conventions, most of whom have made it perfectly clear that they want to hold their events at a place with contiguous space. Few conventions are interested in holding their events in a venue that is spread out over several city blocks.
So he's essentially saying the spread out over city blocks, it needs to be contiguous. What's your response to that?
All you have to do is read the studies that the City Commission by experts, which said that 90% of the conventions which bypass San Diego right now could be held in 250,000 square feet or less of convention space, which is exactly the amount that we would have in the combined stadium convention center facility. So they wouldn't have to be walking back and forth. They would be self-contained conventions. That's 90% of the business that we now miss out on. Plus, we'll have access to all kinds of business that we'll never get, from the Super Bowl to all the other things.
How much is this new plan? How much would it cost, and who would pay for it?
Well, it would probably cost about $1.2 billion, which would be less than the $1.6 billion it would cost to build them separately. And who would pay for it? We would look to some of the same hotel taxes that are being used now, except they wouldn't be imposed by the hoteliers. The public would vote on them, yes or no. The Chargers and the NFL would put in around $400 million. We have a major development partner, Colony Capital, one of the biggest companies of this kind in the world that's interested in this. We can free up the Qualcomm land and the sports arena land and use that revenue. So there's a way to do this without touching the city's services or general fund.
The only thing is, I think Todd Gloria had just said that they couldn't transfer the funds that's for the expansion. That $500 million, $520 couldn't be used for that. Are you guys counting on? Were you counting on that money?
Well, no one should count on that money because it's tied up in court right now. That a lot of people think the tax is illegal. We would put that to a vote of the people. So the people would vote yes or no to use money from a hotel tax for the stadium. So there wouldn't be any court challenge. It would just be a pure vote of the people.
So you'd like to put this to the vote for San Diegans, but if the Chargers aren't having a great season, is that going to influence that vote?
Of course it will. This is a sport and people are passionate about it, but really in the end it's dollars and cents. Does it make sense for the public to have this kind of project or not? We think when they evaluate the money they could get from the Qualcomm site, the sports arena site, the events that they would attract to the facility, that we have a good chance of winning the vote. But it'll be a tough vote, but we wouldn't be sitting here if we didn't think we could win.
Have you evaluated or been able to say how much revenue would be coming in? Are you able to show people this is how much we think we can get?
Oh, sure. Studies have been done on the Super Bowl, which is a $500 to $600 million infusion into the economy. Similar studies are done for the NCAA Final Four. So for each of these major events, which San Diego will never see, even if we expand the convention center as now planned, San Diego will never see any of these events. Each one of these events has been well studied, and you can add up the amounts that they bring to the town.
All right, Mark Fabiani, thanks so much.
Well, with Congress back to work, immigration reform advocates are trying to get a bill passed before the end of the year. Pro-reform groups rallied today in San Diego. They're concerned debate over Syria and the federal deficit could push immigration reform to the bottom of the to-do list.
And so we stand here today united as one community, calling for one solution that treats people with respect and dignity, that allows our economy to grow, that allows our communities to be safe, and addresses this problem once and for all.
Nathan Fletcher is a mayoral candidate and chair of San Diegans United for Common Sense Immigration Reform. Mayoral candidate David Alvarez also attended the rally. Some fishermen and researchers are teaming up to bring back a bit of San Diego history, open-air fish markets. Over the weekend, they treated folks to free seafood prepared by local chefs. There's a proposal to open 2 dockside fish markets along the Embarcadero.
San Diego used to be the tuna capital of the world, and after the tuna industry collapsed, a lot of the fishermen went away, the whole industry, the whole infrastructure went away. So now we have a fairly small fishing fleet. There are relatively few, I forget the exact number, but it's like 50 to 60 fishermen. The average age is about 60, so it's sort of a dying profession.
One major hurdle, the county doesn't currently offer permits for fish-only markets.
And that is Dog Spot. Give you one more for your trade, go see Cal.
He rode elephants, wrestled with tigers, even stood on his head to get people to go see Cal to buy a car. Cal Worthington died yesterday in Northern California. His empire of car dealerships includes one in Carlsbad. He became a household name through his TV and radio commercials featuring a menagerie of animals, but never a dog named Spot. Worthington was 92.
Give your pocketbook a break. Go see Cal. Save some money, save some time.
San Diego's suicide rate hit a record high last year. Now universities and county health officials are getting the word out for National Suicide Prevention Week. Peggy Pico has more on the story.
According to county services, 413 people throughout the county took their own lives last year, and many people who are working to reduce that number have a personal connection to suicide, including County Supervisor Ron Roberts, who became emotional while talking about it to SDSU students on Friday. Let's take a look.
Many years ago, as a student here at San Diego State, I was studying in the library, one of those rare occasions, and my wife, Helene, came to find me to share with me the news that my father had committed suicide. I know the personal scars that you carry.
Now here to talk more about a joint suicide prevention effort now underway are Alfredo Aguirre, Director of County Behavioral Health Services, and Ariel Setnar, peer educator at SDSU with the Not on My Watch campaign. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to be here.
Alfredo, does the county know why suicides are increasing, or at least this past year they have?
Well, it's a complex many factors involved with the increase. Obviously, one suicide is too many in a given year. This obviously is of concern. There's been many links to the economic downturns over the past years or unemployment. However, there's other factors involved. But we are obviously continuing our efforts with It's Up to Us. It just makes us work even harder, but it is of concern.
Demographically, Alfredo, who's most at risk of committing suicide?
35 to 64-year-olds, and in particular men. 75% of suicides are men, and that's been pretty consistent. What's been solidified is the preponderance of suicides among that age group, 35 to 64.
Okay, middle age, but certainly, Ariel, I know that college and universities have their fair share. The Suicide Prevention Resource Center estimated more than 1,000 college and university students die every year by suicide. The Not on My Watch campaign at San Diego State is trying to improve that here. Tell us about it.
So the Not on My Watch campaign is basically, we're going to be handing out a packet of resources, and in this packet we have phone numbers, know the warning signs, basically the signs being, you know, someone's being helpless or feeling lonely, you know, not being themselves, just changing completely, just anything. There's a bunch of warning signs, and basically we will be handing that out during the outreach, and that's tomorrow for a few hours during the day. So it's throughout the week, but it's basically letting people know that this is a conversation that needs to be had.
And why are you involved?
So basically, I did struggle with my own mental health a couple of years ago, and so I ended up getting help by seeing a psychologist, and I think it's so important for people to realize that getting help is what needs to be done, and that's something to be talked about, because I definitely, you know, was like, oh, I'm completely alone, what do? I don't know what to do, I don't want people to judge me, and that's the common theme with someone struggling.
When someone comes to you, a student comes to a peer counselor and says, I want to commit suicide, what happens then? Is there a protocol that you follow to get them the help?
Usually, obviously, we have the phone number, which is included on the Not My Watch campaign, which I have on this bracelet here. It's 888-724-7240. This is the San Diego Access and Crisis line. But we also, if we have it during outreach, you know, we have our therapists on campus. They're available to talk. And then throughout other places, we definitely refer them to the counseling and psychological center.
Okay, and Alfredo, if you see any of those warning signs, or somebody says, hey, look, I'm thinking about killing myself, what should friends, family, students, what should they do if you're hearing that from someone you love or care about?
I think really to ask follow-up questions, to really be as direct as possible. I mean, you're a trusted friend, family member. It's important to work, you know, as part of that relationship is to show your concern. Ask the tough question, you know, have you thought about suicide? And then help that individual, refer the individual to someone who they're comfortable with, whether it's someone in their church, their doctor, their primary care doctor, a guidance counselor on campus. whatever one is comfortable with, and then being with that person throughout the way.
Okay, I want to let folks know that we have a lot of links on our website, kpbs.org, for prevention efforts and suicide resources for both people and their families. So Ariel Setnar and Alfredo Aguirre, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Community clinics are trying to raise awareness of Covered California, the online exchange for buying health insurance. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg joins us from the News Center with an update. Kenny, even though the exchange will be up and running on October 1st, I understand public awareness remains fairly low.
That's right. Covered California is one of the main features of Obamacare, but the latest field poll of California voters shows only 1 in 4 has heard much about it.
1 out of 4. So what are community clinics trying to do to change that?
Well, clinics all over the state have received grants to do outreach about Covered California. For example, Neighborhood Healthcare runs 10 community clinics in San Diego and Riverside counties. Program manager Merle Preston told me they have 16 outreach workers who are trying to spread the word.
They're out in the community at street fairs, health fairs, churches, schools, farmers markets. They also do in-reach at our clinic sites in our waiting rooms.
And Kenny, what kind of information are they giving folks?
They're telling them that everyone will be required to have health insurance next year, and that Covered California has a website where they'll be able to compare plans, sign up for a plan, and even apply for federal subsidies. Now, Merle Preston told me some people they've contacted have already heard about Covered California.
And now they really have personal questions and details about their own personal or family situation and what their options are and what the costs are going to be.
And why specifically are community clinics being asked to play such an important role in getting the word out?
Well, I asked Neighborhood Healthcare CEO Tracy Ream that question. Here's her take on it.
I think it's critical to the success of really Covered California and getting people insured because health centers, community health centers, serve so many people. And we also already are known in the communities, but there's lots of people out there who still need to hear about the programs.
Of course, Obamacare has been in the works for years, and it's certainly been all over the news. So realistically, how much outreach can be done here?
Well, a lot. I mean, you look at the latest field poll. It shows statewide less than half of low-income voters who will soon be eligible for free health insurance are even aware of it.
And, of course, the exchange opens in less than a month. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg. Some San Diegans are closely watching the debate over U.S. military intervention in Syria because they still have family there. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy tells us they are desperate for military action.
Syrian Americans in San Diego are pleading for U.S. military strikes on their homeland. They've been rallying outside San Diego congressional offices and along busy streets. They're urging support for an airstrike against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his regime to punish the leader for alleged use of chemical weapons.
I don't ask for war. If they could solve it diplomacy, fine by me. Get the Assad off the door and let the people live. But if this is the only avenue...
Anthony Corrala has lived in the United States for 30 years, but his mother, sister, and other family members live in Aleppo, Syria. He says he hasn't been able to talk to them in nearly 2 weeks, and he's extremely worried.
I don't know if my family is right, if they're okay, if they have enough to eat, if they've been hostage in their home, or if they flee somewhere with no communication. I'm just cut off from the world over there.
Rim Alamed has a similar story with aunts, uncles, and cousins living in Aleppo.
We lost many family members, and we hope it's going to end soon because that's it. We can't, Syrian people cannot take it anymore.
Alamed has lived in the United States for 23 years. Her daughter Zina Alamed was born and raised here. The two went to the Turkish-Syrian border in March to help care for refugee children. Zina says she can't get the haunting images out of her mind.
Some were paralyzed, some were shot like in the back and the spine, they couldn't move, paralyzed for life. And these are young innocent children that had nothing to do with anything.
Down with Bashar Assad! Down with Bashar Assad!
Obada Elomsi was born in America but raised in Syria.
Yeah, I'm an American and I'm a Syrian American. So like this America means like a big thing to me, as the same as Syria.
Alomsi returned from Damascus to San Diego 2 years ago, just after the Syrian uprising began. He says he joined protests there and escaped bullets from al-Assad's regime. He says his friends were kidnapped during a later protest and found tortured and killed.
They're 19 years old, 20 years old, peaceful civilians. They didn't do anything.
Alomsi says he's desperate for the United States to strike. But polls show most Americans are reluctant to support military involvement, worried about the U.S. entering another conflict after the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Rob Baldwin is one of them.
We should never get involved in any kind of a civil war in any country for any reason. It's none of our business.
Baldwin says chemical weapons don't justify a strike.
We've used chemical weapons so many times. We've used white phosphorus. We've used the atomic weapons in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We've used Agent Orange that kills tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese. Come on and on and on and on.
Irma Collins fears retaliation if the U.S. gets involved militarily.
I think that Russia and Iran will make good on their threats. I think that it could be the start of something like World War III.
Collins' sister, Barbara Wright, worries about the safety of her family here in the U.S.
If we start getting a war over there, what about North Korea and stuff? You know, they're just waiting for stuff to happen, and they'll bomb us.
Unless they do this, then there will be no end for our suffering there in Syria.
Mazen Akai from Aleppo worries his family won't survive much longer.
I have like a brother and sister who are living there with their families, and I can say honestly, they are sitting there without food, without even water to drink.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Well, as you can see, we'll have more about Syria on the PBS NewsHour. That's coming up at 7. And Charlie Rose's interview with Bashar al-Assad at 9 here on KPBS TV. Thanks for joining us. Good night.